Hello, this is Agnes from the Toolset team, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to create a custom archive without manual code editing. I'll be using Toolset Blocks and the new WordPress editor. What I'm gonna build is a real case, and the archive is actually part of a review system which is also created with the Toolset plugins. And this is why in my Toolset dashboard you can see many other related elements, such as the translation service review post type, the front-end form for submitting reviews, and so on. But in this video, we're gonna focus on the translation service post type and its group of fields. We're gonna create an archive that lists all the translation services. The archive will use some of the custom fields connected to this post type, and I'm gonna show you everything step by step so that you can gain an insight into a more complex design coming from a real case. So let's get started. To create a new archive, go to Toolset, Dashboard, and locate your custom post type. Under the Archive column, click Create Archive. You can adjust the name and press Create WordPress Archive. Let's wait a few seconds for the archive to load. Okay, the block editor is ready. By default, the archive entries are displayed in a grid, but what we need instead in our case is a two-column layout. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to switch to the unformatted output. So go to the block navigation, WordPress archive loop, loop style, unformatted. Now we can start designing an archive. Let's add a new block. We need two columns, so I'm gonna choose the WordPress block columns. And in my left-hand column, I'm gonna insert the container block first. This is a Toolset block, and the image inside it. In my site, the translation service logo is stored in the featured image. So this is why I'm gonna use the dynamic sources, and it will load the relevant translation service logo. I'm gonna center the image. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, so I will switch to thumbnail. Okay. And for the hover effect, I'm gonna use this scale option. So to make it look like this. And there's one more thing I'm gonna do to make the image be a link to the current post. Okay, we are ready. Now let's add a button. This time I'm gonna use the Toolset button block again, center align it. And in this case, I'm gonna use one of the custom fields I created previously using Toolset types. Okay, translation services, that's the name of my custom fields group. And the field is get a quote page. It includes the link to the translation service quote page. Okay, now let me adjust the styling of my link. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to change the text to get a quote. Okay. I can set the font size. I can make it uppercase. I can adjust the letter spacing. Okay. What else can we do? We can also set the color of the text and the margins, actually the padding, so it would be 8 pixels. Let's make this 10, 15, both sides. Okay. Yes, what else do we need? The hover state. So I'm gonna switch to this hover tab and I'm gonna choose this blue color for the hover effect. Pretty nice. Okay, we are done with those two first blocks. What else can we do? We can set some shadows for the container itself. So I'm gonna switch to the container block now and to set the background to white, and I'm gonna use the additional style section and enable this box shadow. And okay, so first let me increase the color. So I need a different shadow of gray, so I'm gonna stick to this left edge and change it to something like this. Okay, I don't need any horizontal spread, so let me set it to 0. Increase the vertical one so my shadow is moved a little bit down, something like that, and let's increase the blur. Oh, maybe something like that. Okay, if we scroll down the screen, we'll see the styling got applied to other elements of my archives. And what else can we do here? We can also switch. We can also switch to this inner content and set the minimum height. So let's say 310 and center align it. Okay, and we seems to be done with the left side column. Now let's add the heading to the column on the right. And again, I'm gonna use the dynamic sources to make my heading the post title with a link. Okay, it got updated. We can change the typography. For example, set the font size. What else can we do here? We can bold it. Okay, that would be pretty much it. And now let's add the country. Our translation services can have offices in more than one country, so this is why we're using a repeating field. So I'm gonna use the repeating field toolset block. And yes, since this is the only repeating field in my translation survey post type, it was already pre-populated, but I need to adjust the separator. So instead of an unordered list, which is the default, I'm gonna use comma followed by a space. Okay, now we need to add this icon and to put it to the left of my country. I'm gonna do a trick. So what I'm gonna do is to add a new container, and for the container use the background image. I'm gonna upload this little icon from my drive. Set the size to auto and left align it. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this item and drag it into my container. And this is how they can be displayed side by side. Okay, what else do we need? Let's take a look at our outcome. Okay, now we need to insert the excerpt followed by the more link and then the star rating. So I'm gonna use the single field block and standard field post excerpt. And now to add the more link, I'm gonna use the Toolset button block again, set it to dynamic source that links to the post URL. But now I'm gonna style this button a bit to make it look as a regular link. So what I'm gonna do is to set more, to change the text to more, and what else can I do? I can set the font size again. I can set the text color, and I need to get rid of the border. So I go to Style Settings, and yes, I'm gonna reset the border, but also the margins and paddings. I will need the bottom margin, and I need to set the background to transparent, so I need to reset the transparency to 0, like this. Okay, I will need the hover effect, but for the text color, so let me get back to this one again. And for the hover effect, I'm gonna use this blue color. Okay. This is what I need, and now we are ready to add the star rating. So I'm gonna use the star rating block, and in my site the rating is stored in a custom field. So again, I'm gonna use the dynamic sources and translation service, which is the name of my group, and the custom field has been already pre-selected. So let's adjust the color. It got updated, I just needed to wait a second. But I can use a custom color, so let me do it now. Okay. And that would be it, I guess. What else can we do? We can preview our archive, scrolling down the archive page. We need some space between the post entries, so I'm gonna switch to the WordPress archive loop level, and now add some bottom margin. So let's say 40 pixels. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit update. I've got this page updated message, so we are ready to preview our archive on the front end. Let's see what we've got. Okay, that looks pretty nice and similar to what we have on a backend. Cool. There's one more thing you can do, is to add the pagination. So let me add the pagination now. Actually, the pagination got inserted by default, and you can see it here at the bottom. But now I need to adjust it a little bit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to center align it and adjust the styling. So here in my inspector, I'm gonna go to style settings here, page links, and I'm gonna change the colors of my links to, let's say, set the text to dark gray. And what else can I do? I can also add the hover effect. So for the hover, I'm gonna use this blue color, yes, and white text. Okay, and something similar to the current page link, which is here. So I'm gonna set the blue background and the color. Okay, let's update our archive. And now let's refresh the page. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we are ready.